Hi guys, I am the founder and director of Protect Our Baddies. I am also a survivor myself. I was kidnapped for the purpose of being sent to a foreign country for trafficking. As you guys can see, that plan was not fulfilled. I am now part of the 0.02% that escapes. Protect Our Baddies is originally an e-commerce shop where we sell self-defense weapons, but we wanted to branch out to YouTube to dedicate a channel to survivors and their stories. I believe that these stories will bring impact, awareness, unmasked deception, and hopefully inspire you guys. Our Protect Our Baddies shop is currently funding all of these projects. So if you haven't shopped with us, go check us out. We have tasers, self-defense keychains, knives, so much stuff, literally the cutest weapons ever. We are planning to go to new states, so just know that you are helping us fund these powerful projects and being part of the movement. Thank you guys. Enjoy the video.
Hi, my name is Joyce, and today I'll be sharing my story. I'm 19 years old and I am a domestic violence survivor. So in December 2023, I met my ex-boyfriend in a life insurance company out in Santa Clarita, and we would go to like these meetings that they would have to learn about the business. So we started becoming friends. He would talk to me, I would talk to him. Some workers that were already working there had told us to go out with them, to go find people to recruit. We went with them and they placed us in the back seat together. So we were just there talking, and I was getting to know more about him. He was getting to know more about me. Since then, we just started hanging out. After that, he would pick me up from my house. Mind you, I lived in Palmdale. He lived in LA, East LA. He would drive from East LA all the way to Palmdale. That's like a 1-hour drive every like single day just to come see me. That's how I feel like I fell in love with that. At first, he was so caring. He was so sweet. We started seeing each other often. He would stay at my house, I would go stay at his, and then that's when I got pregnant. When I told him that I was pregnant, he cried. He said that he was so happy that we were gonna be a happy family. I don't know what happened, but he just started changing, and he was like, you know what, like I feel like the baby's not mine. I think you should just abort it. I was like, you know what, there's no way that I'm gonna abort this baby. Like I'm gonna have it whether you like it or not. And then I was like, if you want to stay with me, you can stay with me, and if you don't, then it's fine. I can figure it out myself. He just always had that thought in his mind that the baby wasn't his, but the baby is his. I don't know why he ever thought that. After the baby was born, he drastically changed with me. He was never loving towards me. I know he was going through a change too, but he should have never treated me the way that he did. If anything, he would have treated me good because I had his baby. I went through so many mental changes, hormones, physical changes, my body changing. It just sucks because I had his baby and he just didn't care about me. And then he would never work. So he put me through that mental stress where it's like, what's gonna happen when the baby needs things, when he's diapers, he needs clothes, you know? There would also be times where he was always mad for no reason. I didn't know what was going on with him mentally, and there was times where I would have to second guess myself, just wonder why he was always mad for no reason. I would never cause his anger. I don't know what he felt towards me, and it just sucks because there would be days where I would just sit there and cry, just wondering why he was always so mad. And I would ask him, and then he would just ignore me. And I feel like no woman should ever go through that. Being in a relationship, you always have to communicate with one another whatsoever, because honestly it takes two. Even though he was like that and he had such terrible character, he never laid a hand on me. That I could say. I started going to school to become a medical assistant. One day, March 6th, I was at school. My ex wasn't answering the phone. I just kept calling and calling him, and then until he finally answered. He picked up the phone and he was like, you know what, pack your stuff and get out of the house, we're done. I said, okay, but I'm taking the baby with me. He said, no, you're not taking him with you. And then I was like, okay. I grabbed the keys, I was at school, and then on my way to the house, I called the cops and I was like, hey, like, he's not letting me take my son, what do I do? And the cops were like, you know what, you really can't do much if he's not physically doing anything to you. And then I was like, so you guys have to wait for something to happen for you guys to come. So then I arrived to the house and I stayed outside in the front yard, and he came up to me. He was screaming at me. He was like, get out of the car, I'm gonna park it. And then so I was like, okay, stop yelling at me, stop treating me like that. I have done nothing to you. And then he was like, you know what, we'll talk when you get inside of the house. And then he got off the car and I was like, we're not gonna talk inside because I don't know what you're capable of doing. You look mad right now. So then I waited like 30 minutes for the cops to come. They never showed up. And my baby was inside. So I needed to go see my baby. And so then I walk inside the house and his mom was there and he was there. My ex was there. His mom was holding my baby in her arms. He was like, "You're such a bad mother. You don't take care of the baby, this, and that." And then I was like, dude, I literally have to go to school right now. I want better for myself and for my son. If you're not doing anything right now, then that's on you. But me, I'm gonna do better for my son. So he was like, "You're such a bad mother. We're separating." And then I was like, okay, that's fine. You want to think what you want to think, but you're gonna end up losing because you're gonna have to pay for child support. You're gonna have to find yourself a job whether you like it or not, because at the end of the day, this is your son, this is my son. After I told him that his dad had came from his job, because at his job there's no bathroom, so he came to the house. He lives close to his workplace. He came inside and I don't know what comment he made because I forgot. My ex ran up on his dad and he started beating him up. He started tackling him. And so my baby was witnessing that. He was in the presence of all of that. So I was like, you know what? No. I was like, instant reaction. I need to get out of this house. And my baby was 4 months at the time. My ex's mom had the baby in her arms. I went to go try and grab the baby and I was like, "Hey, give me the baby." And she was like, "No, I'm not gonna give him to you." I was like, "Give me the baby." She was like, "No, I'm not gonna give him to you." I literally went up to her and I snatched the baby right out of her arms. I grabbed my shoes, I ran outside. As I'm running outside, I'm ready to cross the street. He runs up on me and he stabbed me 5 times in my back while I had my baby in my arms. I didn't know I was being stabbed because when he ran up on me, I felt as if he was just punching my back like 5 times. Until his brother's girlfriend came and she was like, "Oh, you got stabbed, you got stabbed." I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" And then, so I got instant reaction. I had my baby in my arms and all I felt was warm blood dripping down my pants and my shoes, everything. In front of where I live, there's a warehouse, there's a job site. Luckily, guys, God's time is perfect because the guy was coming out of his job and I was like, hey, like, "Can you help me? I just got stabbed. Like, I have the baby in my arms." He was like, yeah, we have a room. They had a like private office room. They guided me to that room. But before I went to that room, I turned around and I saw him stabbing himself. He stabbed himself a lot of times. And then he was just screaming.
Do you remember what he was screaming?
Like, he was just screaming like, "Ow, ow, ow." I'm pretty sure it was hurting him. Mind you, it was 5 people outside. It was his brother, it was his dad, it was his mom, it was my ex's brother's girlfriend. And he wanted to stab her too because she was defending me and she was gonna take me to my mom's house.
So the police report said that he stabbed himself 6 times.
Yeah.
In the chest.
So then I walked into the worker's room. I had my baby in my arms. The boss was trying to help me out. He was trying to get my baby because I was stabbed. I was in a very hard situation where I felt like I was losing conscious. And I did go unconscious for like 1 to 2 minutes. While I had my baby in my arms, I seriously don't know how I did that, how I had the strength to even carry that baby. But, you know, as a mother, I guess God gives you so much strength to save your little one. So after he stabbed himself, he got tackled by his dad. His dad tried stopping him from stabbing himself. And then after that, I think he ran back inside and he got a black bag and then he wrapped it around and he threw it down the sewer hole. And he ran to the corner of the house and somebody tried helping him out. They did help him out and they took him to the same hospital that I was at. And that was just very even more traumatizing.
And how did you know that he was in the same hospital? Who told you?
The social worker. I believe in the good and bad. I believe in God and I also believe that there's the devil. I honestly think that the devil took over him. Took over a little moment of his life that messed up the rest of his life. Honestly, I should have known because one day we were sitting down. I was just talking to him randomly and I was like, "Why are you always so mad? I don't like this." And then he was like, "You know what? You've never seen me mad. When I'm mad, I'm capable of killing somebody." So when he said that, I should have known that it was already bound to happen. But I just never realized it because he had never done anything physical to me. He has never laid a hand on me. But like, he meant it for sure because of what he did to me. So I feel like I should have known. But in a way, it's like I never thought that he would have done that. And then after the ambulance was called, the police department got my baby. They took him to the hospital with me. And then that whole process of the hospital was hard. I felt like I was dying. It was so scary. It was one of the most scariest moments of my whole entire life. I would go unconscious and then I would wake back up and then go back unconscious. So I felt like I was so dead. I was so drugged. They had me on morphine. They had me on fentanyl. It was a husky knife. It was a husky blade, like those that you use for construction. And they're probably gonna be like, oh, it was a little ass knife, this and that. No. It's crazy because he was a like big guy and he was strong. So I'm pretty sure he used all his force to stab me because they were deep. He punctured my left lung. I think I have like inside cuts in my pancreas and liver now. So when I was at the hospital, they stitched my back up and that process was super painful. It was honestly more painful than giving birth. Cause that pain, that's a pain that I don't wish upon anybody. Like, just only imagine you can't even breathe. You literally can't breathe. For me, it was 10 times harder because I couldn't breathe. And then they had to place tubes like by my armpit area to suction out the blood and suction out the air for 2 days. I had tubes in my body. I couldn't even move. I couldn't eat. I couldn't use the bathroom. I couldn't do anything. Mind you, I had to be depending on an oxygen tank. I couldn't even breathe on my own. One of the hardest things that I had to go through there was being away from my baby for so long. Those 4 or 5 days felt like an eternity, not being able to see my son or my family. Being in the state of mind that I was in at the hospital, my ex's mom came to the hospital just to tell me that it was all my fault and that I should have never caused this. So I responded back to her and I told her that she needed to leave because I was not in the right state of mind. I was not mentally stable, not physically okay to allegate with her in any type of form. So I just told her to get out, and then I called the nurses and I told her to get out. And I restricted her from seeing me at that hospital. So she was not allowed to.
Victim blaming.
Yeah.
That is such a huge thing.
Yeah.
For a lot of survivors, for most survivors that I've met.
And it's crazy because he would call me names, he would break my makeup, but never did he put hands on me. And I never thought that he would get to the point of stabbing me. Never once did I ever disrespect him in a way where I laid hands on him or even like call him names. For him to lead to that point of stabbing me is insane because I would have never done that to him. How low do you have to go to be able to stab the mother of your child? I will never understand that in a million years. Never. I will never understand that. I don't understand how a person can get to that point. There's no way that you could ever validate that because it's like, why does it have to get to the point where you want to kill somebody? Because that just proves that there's an issue with you. There was an issue with him. Maybe in that moment he just didn't have self-control. He couldn't control himself. And now this little moment led to him messing up his life and leaving his son fatherless.
And him being in jail.
And him being in jail, yes. I feel like he just didn't want better for himself. Honestly, feel like he was going through something that he never was able to speak about. Till this day, I don't know what was going on with him. I never knew what he was going through, but I did always try helping him out. I showed him love. I was always affectionate towards him, and he just never realized that. I truly do believe that God lifted me out of that situation to realize what's worth living for, which is my baby, because I cannot leave him alone, you know? God forbid, what would have happened if I actually would have been killed because he was just 4 months. I know he doesn't know, but no baby ever deserves to be put in a situation like that being super young. He doesn't even know how to walk. He doesn't even know how to talk. And it's so hard because I don't know how I'm gonna ever explain to him the situation that his dad put us through. Ever. I don't know how, but I guess in the future I will know how to.
And the fact that he was stabbing you while you were holding your baby.
Yeah. That just proves that he never cared.
Like,
He
that's
never
your
cared.
father. Like, how do you
Yeah,
do that?
exactly. How do you do that?
It's your baby. Like, are you not supposed to be taking care of your baby?
And I always had to beg him to give him love, give the baby love, because he couldn't last feeding him. He couldn't. He would just be like, get your baby. Like, he's so annoying. I always had to deal with his rejection of not showing love towards me or the baby. I feel like I always had to beg him to give him love, show him love. He just wasn't a good father. He wasn't meant to ever be a father. Looking back to it now, it's like, why did I even go with that guy? What did I even see in him? But honestly, I was going through a lot at that time, so that's why I went with him. I was living in a toxic household where I wasn't happy anymore. I was always stressed out. I was always angry at the world. At that time, he came into my life. I thought that that was good because he showed me what my mom couldn't show me. I guess I tried filling in that void of love with him. Living in a toxic household is very hard. You go through a lot daily. I would just come home all the time, getting yelled at, getting slapped, like getting hit. But that was when I was little. When I was a little girl, when I was like 12 years old, I suffered through domestic violence with my dad. He would get any little thing to try and hit me. My mom called the cops and then I got sent to therapy, but therapy couldn't work out for me because my mom told me that like I had to lie about it, because if I didn't lie, my dad would have to go to jail because he had hit me. So then that didn't even work out for me. My dad passed away when I was 14. It was hard because we lost the apartment. We were living in the streets. We didn't know where to go until they helped us out. So we were good. We were doing good. But up until I hit high school, the toxicity kept going on. But instead of my dad, it was my mom. Now I can understand why she probably did that, because she was probably going through so much. But I don't think that that was the way she should have done that. Mind you, I was so little. Like, she was the parent. She was the one who was supposed to guide me. So I started getting into drugs. I started smoking weed. I would come home late. I would always go out because I never wanted to be home. Nobody living in a toxic household wants to be home, because once you walk through that door, you're getting yelled at, you're getting called names, you're suffering through that rejection from your parents too. But my sister was really great to me. Like, she did help me out a lot in so many ways, and I will forever be grateful for her because she always was there for me. And also, living in a toxic household creates sneaky kids, sneaky son or a sneaky daughter. And then it also creates really bad decisions, because I left the house to try and not live that life anymore because I was so tired of it. It was 6 years of that constant toxicity. So once I turned 18, I said, I'm an adult, I can leave, I can do my own decisions. But no, I feel like I never had that guidance with my mom, you know? Because she was also going through a lot. My sister was also going through a lot. So I thought that the solution was getting out of the house, getting pregnant, and just starting my own life. But I just want you guys to realize that that toxicity that I was living to, I felt like led to this, and led to me choosing the wrong father of my baby, choosing the wrong guy.
That just shows you like the importance
Yeah.
of a good household.
Yeah, it's crazy because like now that I realize that has a lot to do in like your adult life, or who you're gonna choose to marry, and how you are gonna be in the future, personality wise, work wise, everything.
And also like your confidence. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if you were in a household where it was uplifting, you know, and motivating and loving. I'm sure that they were loving, but you know, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I just imagine how our lives would look like if we were in that household.
Personally, me, when I was in that situation, it was always in the back of my head thinking that either I leave or I'm mentally ill. Like, I cannot do this because, mind you guys, I had a job and then I was going to school. And then on top of that, I had to come home listening to all that yelling, cussing, calling me names. I couldn't even focus. I couldn't even do homework. So I just felt like I just had to leave my own way. I never pictured myself getting pregnant, if I'm being honest. It's crazy, but it is what it is. Life goes on. As long as I'm happy with me and my son, we're good. I feel like my son, he's brought to me a happiness that I can't even describe in words. If I had to go through that again, I would, to defend him. He brought such happiness into my life that I never knew I needed. Being a mother is so incredible. It's a blessing. It's wonderful. Whenever I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like I have a negative thought, I just look at him and all of that goes away. Like, I love experiencing new milestones with him. For example, right now he's eating baby food. It's incredible. And then they depend on you for so much. And I never knew that I would depend on him for love, which is sad, but like, I depend on him for love, you know? And he depends on me for everything, but I do depend on him for love. A few like weeks ago, I was thinking, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I feel alone, I feel empty, but honestly, I don't need to feel broken right now. I don't need to feel negative. I don't need to have those thoughts because I have someone else that I have to live for. If a guy is never gonna change for you, he's just never gonna change until he shows you by his actions. He's not gonna change if you have a kid.
I feel like that's such a huge thing with girls. How they stay with someone, you know, because of their words.
Yeah.
You know, because the guy's
Because
saying,
of the
I
words.
I love you so much.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be with you. I'm loyal. I'm this, I'm that. And everything is just words, words, words.
Do not ever believe a guy if he's gonna tell you, oh, I love you, or I'll change for you, or this and that. No, he will never change until he proves to you he will change by his actions.
You want to see if a man loves you? Look at his actions.
Yeah.
That's it. Actions. Forget about what he's saying.
Yeah. But never in a million years would I ever have done what he did to me, because I know what it's like to go through suicidal thoughts. I know what it's like to go through depression. I know what it's like to be like, oh, nobody cares about me, nobody loves me. Stand up for yourself, because at the end of the day, no one is gonna do that for you. No one is gonna fill that void that you feel in your heart but God. Get closer to God. God will help you out.
What words of encouragement can you give someone that's going through something similar as you, or just recovering from it?
Don't worry. Life goes on. There's going to be a solution to everything. I just say that you heal yourself from all that trauma that you went through. I know it's going to take a long time, but just know that you were able to get out of that. And just the fact that you were able to get out of that and you're alive just shows that you can do better for yourself. You can want better for yourself.